Hello, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Perinatal Podcast. I'm Meg Duke, and this is another mini episode, minisode. Anyway, I'm so excited to have you here. Today's episode is a little self-serving, but also servicing all of you because I think this is great information for you to have. Because next week, January 24th, Friday, 1 p.m. Central, so do that time zone math as you will based on where you are, because I know some of you are all over the world, literally, which is amazing and makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. I am doing my very first continuing education unit. It's been approved by NASW Texas, that's the National Association of Social Workers. It is approved for continuing education in all of the states for social workers, for licensed professional counselors, licensed mental health counselors, for marriage and family therapists, and also if you are not a provider, stay tuned. Don't switch off because this is also for you. It is called Working with Adults with New ADHD Diagnoses because when I first set out to make this presentation, I thought that was the population I wanted to work with, and it is still certainly. And if you are an adult with ADHD and you are not in the mental health business, but you want some help working on your mental health and your ADHD and navigating that and your relationship with it, this is also for you. Everything that we are talking about is going to be for both of you all. It's recognizing these symptoms, it's recognizing these behaviors, it's recognizing what that looks like. It's understanding how to move forward with that, figuring it out, whether or not you have a diagnosis. If you have any of these traits and behaviors and issues that are a concern for you, you don't necessarily need the diagnosis. You need tools. And I've got tools for you. And that's why I'm so excited. We're going to talk about some of these intervention strategies. We're going to talk about some of these issues that revolve around stigma and internalized self-perceptions with ADHD and neurodiversity. And definitely something that I've talked about on this show before a number of times is how lucky I was as a female in the 90s to get diagnosed because my parents were persistent. But I mean, girls don't have ADHD, girls don't have autism. Didn't you know that? Eye roll, massive epic eye roll. And so it's going to be talking about a lot of that and unpacking a little bit of that for ways to look through that and figuring out kind of what we do there. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be able to put all of this together to talk about where we're going to go. How do we apply some of these techniques? How do we support ourselves? Where do we seek support? How do we support our clients if you are a mental health provider? All of that is going to be available here. And I've got some really very specific ideas of things for you to get started on that you can take right away and start working on. And again, if you're my client, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. I make the joke all the time. I want to like get neons made behind me and I can like click it on. Like very rarely is any one thing all one thing. And the one that I was going to say just now is if it were easy, you'd already be doing it. So none of this is easy. None of this is like, oh, well, Meg gave me this technique and now I can go do it. And now my ADHD is managed. And it's nice to have some ideas of things to do to feel like you're working toward making some changes and adjustments. And that's what's so great too, is that there are so many ideas of different techniques that you use what works for you. You get rid of the ones that don't. You pepper in different things. You take something and morph it into the thing that makes the most sense for you. So I'm so, so excited. It's been a dream of mine since I was in grad school. My roommate, hi Jay, she's a listener down in Georgia. It was her idea. She was like, you would do a great job at providing continuing education courses. And I've been thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and on and on and on and on. And over a decade later, I put my submission into NASW and they said right away, actually, if I may, holla, very exciting. I submitted it at like 4 p.m. on one day and the next morning by like 8:15 it was submitted. So they obviously feel like I've got some good stuff to share with you as well. Yeah, so the links are everywhere in my bio. They're in my website. They'll be in the show notes here as well. Of course, it is a separate fee. It's additional if you want that continuing education certificate for my providers out there. Unfortunately, NASW charges you $10 per certificate. So it is a little more expensive if you want the official credit for having shown up. But for those of you who don't care about that, it's a little less. And everyone is going to walk away with, I think, a good time. Y'all show up to this show, don't you? So yeah, enjoy talking with me here at least. So I think it's gonna be a good time. I'm really excited, hoping to get some people involved, hoping to get us all chatting about it, not just me sharing the information, though certainly, I used to lecture at the University of Kansas, so I'm very, very capable of talking for an hour and a half. But I think it's going to be amazing to be able to do it in another way. So Thanks again for tuning into the Perinatal Podcast. Stay tuned. I've got some great shows coming up, including our 100th episode. You do not want to miss. I'm so excited. Thanks again for clicking in. Holler at me with any questions, thoughts, concerns, comments, suggestions, collaboration ideas. I can't wait to hear from every single one of you. Be curious, not judgmental, and we'll see you next time.